Hey folks, I've taken a look at all of your drafts, I've taken a look at your writing journals, and I'm putting together this super quick review and clarification presentation because some of you have asked some excellent questions, and I think by answering those questions, it may benefit other students as well. So let me address some of the questions, and hopefully it helps. First, in the analytical section, a couple of people asked questions about whether or not they could use anecdotal support, personal experience. And my answer is yes, but not by itself. In other words, you must have examples of your discourse in action, and so that's the information that's coming from the websites or from articles or YouTube clips or wherever you're getting that information. You have to be pulling in specific support from those outside sources. So yes, you can use personal experience as well, but the personal experience cannot be the only sort of evidence that comes into those sections. There are a couple of people who are writing on the discourse in their own workplace, for example, and so they're wondering what can they use in that section. So you must have evidence other than just what you observe or that personal experience, but you can use that. Hopefully that clarifies. Number two, values and narratives sections. You must make sure that the values and narratives are different than the patterns, specifically with regard to language. So easy example, there's a student, we have a classmate who's doing a project on the discourse of Disney, and she talks about all of the princesses that are walking around. So there's this pattern of princesses. Now, when she thinks about the cultural narratives underneath that, she can easily think about these narratives about love and beauty, right? This is what it means to be a woman in the culture. This is how a woman should look, etc. And so the pattern is princesses. The cultural narrative or the values have to do with love and beauty. So it's not quite the same language, right? And so really we're looking at those values and those narratives that underpin the patterns that you see. Also, with regard to those cultural narratives and those values, in the connection section, that's what you're looking at that's similar, right? Not necessarily the patterns, but those values and those cultural narratives that are underneath. And so I actually created a discussion board for this week where you can have that conversation about those connections, and I hope that in having that conversation it helps you guys build some strong arguments in those final sections of your paper. Now, lots of folks asked about final formatting. They explained that they saw some differences in terms of the student examples, and so they were wondering what was up with that. So let me make it really clear. I give you those three sections to make sure that you cover all three components of the assignment. How you finally decide to put the project together, however, is completely up to you. And here's what I mean. You can put the project together as a quote-unquote essay, right? And it can just read through and you cover all of the components that you have to cover. Or, as many of you have started to do, you can put the project together and you can have all of the hyperlinks and the pictures in there. That's fine. You can use headings if you want to use headings, although I'm not forcing you to use headings. And so, with regard to the final format, you just have to make sure that you've covered all of the components of the assignment. Now, let me say something about citing very quickly, and I have this on the review document in our materials too. I am not forcing anyone to cite materials in MLA format or APA format or anything like that, right? This writing can be more open. However, you must attribute. And what I mean by that is that you can't just not tell me where the information is coming from. So, for example, if you're gathering information from a website, you can easily mention the website in your writing. If you're taking an image from a website, you can mention the website in the writing. You can always mention in writing where all of the materials are coming from. So you don't necessarily need a works cited page as long as you've mentioned everything in writing. I hope that that clarifies a little. Now, very quickly, remember that the final for this project is going to come in on Friday. I bumped everything back by a day, given that we have a holiday weekend. And on Tuesday, I'm asking people to either upload your writing journal number 9 or contact me with more questions about your project. And in contacting me, you'll get credit for writing journal number 9. So I hope that this little video clarifies some of those final points. And as always, shoot me an email if you have any concerns. Take care.